What's up, Nerd Union? It's Kenneth Shipp and Tom DeGrow here with another episode of the Commander Ship Show. What we got in store for you today? We finally got some news on Dune. I'm so excited about that. It's gonna be really awesome to talk about the photos that came out, and then we'll talk about this definitely one of the lone bright spots in this desolate apocalypse we call 2020. And then we'll cover the insane nightmare scenarios that the Oscars may face this year. That you'll have to hold on to your pants. It's a little crazy. We'll get to all that and more starting now. Hey, I actually hit the camera that time. It's good. Like, I really got the finger in there.
Got the right camera. Good for you. You can point.
All right, folks, and we're back. Tom, how have you been?
I've been okay.
Okay.
It's really okay. Yes. You know, everybody's in the same situation unless you're in like Arkansas where they don't have the lock-in. But all in all, it's been good. I've been learning how to cook. Or learning how to bake. I know how to cook.
Wait, Arkansas is not in lockdown?
I don't think so. And yes, and Mississippi may not be as well.
Insanity.
There's like 14 states or something like that haven't done it.
That's unfortunate.
Yep.
Let's go ahead and start off with the quick hits. So,
yeah,
we don't have we're not getting as many news releases as we normally would during this time frame. You already know we're not going to keep beating the dead horse. So we would normally be in summer blockbuster run-up mode right now. But we still got a few updates for things going later in the year. First one up, the Black Adam movie with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. It's going to be recording in the fall, so probably be looking at some kind of like summer release time frame for 2021 now.
Hopefully, yeah. I'm kind of excited about this one. I'm actually more excited about this one than I was Shazam. But you know, because one, thankfully, The Rock has improved his acting since he last played an ancient ruler of some type.
Yeah.
Also, I think The Rock is a really good fit for Black Adam. Just his whole style. I mean, he looks the part. And I'm kind of curious as to how they're going to make a story out of him. And is he going to be anti-hero? Is he going to be the hero who becomes a villain? You know, is it going to be like a Sinestro situation in that movie that we won't talk about?
We're not going to talk about it, Tom? What was wrong with that Sinestro?
No.
Mark Strong's a fantastic English actor. What do you...
Yes, he is. But...
yeah, but the movie could...
Ryan Reynolds personally texted me and said, please stop talking about that movie.
Yeah, well, we gotta respect Mr. Reynolds' wishes. That's
Yes, I mean he owns a gin company now. He's very important.
And he's giving money back to bartenders for that company. So,
yes, he is.
Aviation gin's not. I know we're not getting paid to say this, but aviation gin is not. It's not bad at all.
No, and if you were to defile yourself by drinking a gin, aviation gin should be the one that you drink.
Whoa! Hold
yes, listen.
Pause.
I don't like to
pause to quick hits. What did you just say? Defile yourself by drinking a gin?
Yes, I don't like Christmas.
It's not about. Oh my gosh, it doesn't taste like Christmas. There probably are some that taste like Christmas. I'm just saying, all gins do not taste like Christmas. Have you had Sip Smith?
No, the one gin that I do like is Journeyman, and it's made from a different type of berry than juniper. Or it includes a different type of berry, the juniper.
Mm-hmm.
So,
killing me, Smalls. Killing me.
Sorry, man.
That's
you and I are in the same boat when it comes to whiskeys, but
yeah,
not with gins.
Since we didn't do a whiskey of the week this month, whiskey of the week. Although monthly might be a little better as far as our stomachs and like
yes.
what our collections are.
this Jeremy Baramy.
I needed some coffee before we started this show, and for my friend Mel, I got a bottle of bourbon maple syrup from Montreal. Put a little bit at the bottom of the glass. Tom will know Dark Matter Coffee in Chicago. They make a bourbon aged coffee blend called Machete. Machete don't text. Sorry, it's immediately popped. Movies. Okay. Anyway, it's just got a rich bourbon smell coming off of it as soon as you do an espresso shot of it. So I got that in there, and a little dash of Amaro, Cafe Amaro in there, with some foamed milk. It's fantastic. It's great.
Nice. Next, you're gonna have to do the frappéd frozen coffee that everyone's doing right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, all my soccer mom friends are making those for themselves. Me today, all I have is just SodaStream Cola that I made myself.
Well, at least you made it yourself.
No whiskey today.
No whiskey.
I'm out of Sagamore, and yeah, and I couldn't bring myself to open up a new bottle today. Next week I'll have one.
Okay. All right. Mm-hmm. Also, I may secretly just want to keep showing off this cup, but either you saw it or you didn't. I'm not reading it off to you. Next hit. So we're giving you all these schedule updates for what's happening at the end of the year, and Cinema Blend did an article. It was calling out Disney's whopping 6 movies coming out at the end of the year, and I was so focused on Black Widow, and let's see what else was going. At least what I knew of was Soul and Black Widow that I hadn't even thought about these next 3 is Deepwater. So let's actually just go for the dates. Black Widow coming out on 11/6, so November 6th. Deepwater coming out 11/13. Let's see. We don't really have a great synopsis for it. Well, actually, the one-sentence synopsis. A man allows his wife to have affairs and becomes a suspect in their disappearances. That's what we got. It's got Ana de Armas. You may know her from Knives Out fame. It's going to be one of the new Bond girls in No Time to Die. And Ben Affleck also co-starring in that. Let's see. What else do we have?
And yeah, Ben's in 2 things. He wrote Last Duel too.
Wait, what?
But yep.
Huh.
Him and Matt Damon.
Matt Damon. Directed by Ridley Scott, so that's probably gonna be a crapshoot. Not the crap on, not the crap on Ridley Scott, but it's been very hit or miss the last decade.
He's been inconsistent in his last decade.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. On the calendar, that would put Deepwater on the 13th, Soul on the 20th. That's a new Pixar movie. Jazz musician Jamie Foxx. Not sure what it's gonna be something about the afterlife a little bit. Free Guy, which was the new on December 11th, that was the new since we were talking about Ryan Reynolds, that was the new Ryan Reynolds video game character gets released from their coding and starts changing a lot of things around. Tom, you said you forgot about this, but I also as I was looking at the calendar, forgot about this movie is coming out too. So Spielberg's got a West Side Story coming out December 18th that apparently is not a musical. Is that?
It doesn't seem to be. And honestly, I'm kind of curious as to what a Spielberg musical would be like. But yeah, I have feelings. I'm confused about this one. I'm going to be very disappointed if there isn't an alien or Nazis in it. Because sometimes I think Spielberg can't tell a story with one or the other, without one or the other.
Hey, you.
Yeah.
Or was Nazi stand-ins? Even if they're not technically Nazis, they still effectively operate as Nazis.
Yes.
Which, I mean, hey, if it ain't broke. I'm just saying, I've been trying to write a retrospective on Spielberg, and it's really interesting how far I think about the hallmarks you see in different directors over time. And I will say he's very, very much a chameleon. I know you just said that joke. When I look at his other things that you created, if I were going to walk in fresh and someone told me that was a Spielberg movie, with some of these, you'd be like, wow, I actually I don't like there's. It's not that he doesn't have a distinct visual style. It's just not. It's not as overt as some of the other directors. Whereas like I can tell when a Nolan movie is on the screen, like instantly. Like, oh, okay. And then like the structure of the story usually is going to give me a pretty big clue that that's a Nolan movie. I don't feel the same way about Spielberg, at least from the '90s on. There may have been some older Spielberg that definitely has a similar feel. I think definitely when he got to the '90s and on, he got off into. It's almost like he got more experimental when he got older, which is an interesting idea or interesting thought to entertain.
Yep, like Catch Me If You Can is a great example of that. But there's like an old Animaniacs joke of there's some it was Tiny Toons, and there was some big reveal of this like cave wall moving behind with a bright light, and one of the tunes goes, "Ooh, how Spielbergian," and which was great because Spielberg was one of the producers of Tiny Toons, and but yeah, it's true that he kind of he usually goes for these giant cinematic flares, but then there's things like Catch Me If You Can.
And I was gonna say like artificial intelligence probably seems a little bit closer to like 70s Spielberg. I think Bridge of Spies and definitely gets outside of that. It might be a little bit closer to Catch Me If You Can. Hold up, I can end up talking about Spielberg all day. So hold up, yeah, I'm gonna stop myself. The last movie on that list, The Last Duel, it was the Ridley Scott film we were talking about. And who was the king involved in that? Was it King Charles the?
Who was the what?
So the synopsis is King Charles VI pronounces a duel between a knight and his squire. That's really all we know about it. Well, actually, go ahead, Tom.
No, I was correcting myself, but yeah, I think it's just a knight and his squire, and I'm gonna guess that Matt Damon is playing King Charles. Let me see, his IMDb got that up.
So I actually don't see who is cast as.
They.
Yeah, because Matt Damon's playing someone else, Jean Courreges.
So.
And then.
Adam so he's probably playing the knight. I'm guessing Matt Damon's the knight, Adam Driver's the squire. Yeah, there's not a lot other than Affleck and Damon are all over this place as EPs and writers. Yeah, this is going to be interesting.
But it does look like production, and so all the ones we talked about looks like production's all wrapped on, especially those later ones that were in December, and they don't seem like CGI heavy fests, so I think they'd be fine there as well. But everything we just told you, like there's barely a 2 or 3 week gap between those movies. So for Disney trying to get any kind of any traction with those, not to mention we haven't talked about. Let's see, Bond still releases during that time frame. You got. King was it Godzilla versus King Kong releases during that time frame. We don't have a Harry Potter movie that's not until next year. So that we haven't we'll be talking about Dune later, but Dune is also coming out in December this year. So there's a lot packing into that last corner of the schedule, and I think something's going to get cannibalized there.
I wouldn't be surprised if something gets pushed back. I'm going to put money on Dune. I would actually, if I was a betting person, I would say Dune will be pushed back 2 months, and the release of 1 and 2 will be tighter.
Yeah, because I think the studios, it's not that they're. I mean, you've already taken a risk trying to do Dune, right? But they probably don't want to expose themselves to more risk. Like they're probably if that movie's going to do well, I think they want to put it in the best possible space to succeed. The some things I think are interesting though is typically January, February going into the next year would be slow. I wonder though, with so many things being pushed back, if this would be the rare year where that won't matter. Where like you could, so let's say you could conceivably push Dune to January and let it just own the month of January, but normally that'd be like it's not a great month, and neither is February. But with everything so far off, and people probably being a little movie hungry for a while too, I wonder if we could. I wonder if they could really get away with like we're gonna take a stake a claim on a new month that we normally would never roll the dice on.
Hmm. I'd agree. I just feel like I'm going to be spending a lot of time in a dark room in the last 3 months of the year, which I'm okay with.
I'm not complaining.
It'll make up for all the time. Yeah. As long as they don't
so
suck.
used to it.
I need to get my vitamin D levels checked.
So we'll move from So that's what the calendar's looking like. It's a little tight. Do you want to talk about? So we've been talking a lot about movies that have been coming on the streaming, and we know ticket prices at a theater can be astronomical. So that's kind of been understood for a while. What I can't wrap my head around is on Fandango now or some of the other sites where you can rent the movies like the Amazon Cinema and different things like that. There's not like a consistent pricing for these movie releases. I've seen some as low as $5.99 or $3.99, and then some as high as like a full DVD just to rent it for. Because again, this will be you could watch it anytime during a 30-day period, but once you like use your code or like activate the play button on that video, it only lasts for 48 hours after that. So you can only watch it for like you could watch it again multiple times, but only during that 48-hour period. And I don't see a lot of people buying. I don't foresee a lot of people in the market buying a $20 movie that they only get to rent. Again, if it's back on that like $5.99 price scale, I can see that. And then some of the indie theaters have been around like $11-12, and I think that's like if we're talking about like what's the sweet spot, I think for a rental, that's a movie that's supposed to be a theatrical release and trying to help some of the theaters out. I think 11 to 12 is like a really sweet spot, and it it's more digestible. So you just shoot up to $20 though. Like I think a lot of people are gonna have that same I think they're gonna have that same idea. Like that's a DVD or that's a Blu-ray. Mm-hmm. Why don't I just wait until you do the physical release and I'll just buy that?
Yeah, I mean the only time I see that being an option is Screaming Kids. And I was looking at it this morning. I don't see a lot of kids related films coming out in the next couple months or a couple weeks. I was pushing through to May, and so like in April there's just Doolittle that was last week, and not much else.
And I was gonna say, like, Doolittle technically already came out. It's just now getting on to digital. So for them charging any kind of exorbitant amount there, it's like you did at least get a theatrical release for a solid month and a half before. Like it's be different, a little bit different than like Sonic and Invisible Man or Emma that during that February time frame when everything was starting to tank. But Doolittle, it just wasn't good. Like it just wasn't a good. Like I love RDJ. Like this wasn't a great movie to go after Endgame. Like it was a little rough.
I mean, personally, I look at it like a palate cleanser. It was his sorbet, a little bit. What could I do that would be the complete opposite of Tony Stark? I know, a dithering man that talks to animals.
I mean, Sherlock Holmes was more fun than whatever. I'm just saying, like that was if we're talking about a palate cleanser, I didn't mind him stepping into that role. I know those Guy Ritchie movies kind of get a little maligned, but they were still fun. Game of Shadows notwithstanding.
Yeah, but I haven't watched Doolittle yet. That's on my list to ingest, but there's still a lot of. I mean, it's Guy Ritchie, so there's a lot of action in those.
Well, sorry, for the Sherlock films, he didn't do Doolittle. That was actually. Let me look. Dun, 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 dun. Stephen Gagan? Who is that? I don't know who that is.
Exactly. It's just some guy.
Just some
And
guy from Louisville,
RDJ's like,
Kentucky.
listen, I really want to make this.
Oh,
I
actually,
really want to make this. I don't care who the director is. I'll have my personal trainer be.
well, you know what's disappointing though? They've written some. Was it? They wrote Syriana. Um, okay, that's like the only one that stands out as something that I actually like. NYPD Blue, and The Practice, New York Undercover. He's got more writer credits, but the writer credits are not that long. Okay, sorry, I'm not gonna focus on this dude. I had the right reaction to you, Steven. Who are you? Doing a CGI animal slob fest, like it was rough. Okay.
So RDJ, I know that you watch this show. It's about time you did a kung fu movie.
Yeah.
You've been doing Wing Chun for 12 years. As a Wing Chun brother, do it. Do a kung fu movie. Don't do kung fu. Do a kung fu movie.
Just so long as he's not the main character. I think that
Ooh, he could be the villain.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, considering where we are right now, like having another white dude do some kung fu movie, like I'd get upset at that.
Now okay, blaxploitation kung fu movie. He's the big boss man who happens to know kung fu in a suit. Yes, a la Mike Tyson in Ip Man 3.
Just so long as we can get a Les Grossman appearance. It doesn't have to make sense. I just want I want a Tom Cruise Les Grossman appearance in it.
So he could be one of the underbosses then.
Mm-hmm.
If Tom Cruise would agree to that.
He's got those massive forearms. I gotta imagine that. Like that's
those were prosthetic though.
Details. So Tom watched a movie this weekend that I think is a little. I'm not saying watching movies are questionable. I'm saying watching this particular one may have been a little questionable for my taste, but I want to hear all about it, Tom. Talk to us about Ice Pirates.
So the Ice Pirates was produced in 1984, and it is a story of sometime in the future, water becomes the most precious commodity in the universe, and one group called the Templars controls like 90% of all the water in the universe, and there are pirates that try and raid ships filled with ice, and that was their story. Um, as a child, this movie spoke to me. I don't know why, but I had a love for sci-fi comedies, bad sci-fi, and this kind of falls into that category. When you look at this, realize that it was produced in 1984, and Jedi, I think, was just a year before, and you look at the difference between the two of them, woof, as far as the special effects. But watching it, I did appreciate that there was a young Angelica Houston, as well as a young Ron Perlman, and the cast makes Ron Perlman look short. Also, a couple of other.
What? That's a
yes,
big dude.
Robert Ulrich and a whole bunch of people were about the same height as him.
Yeah. You said this came out in 84?
84, yes.
Yeah, so Jedi was 83. Yeah.
Yep. I was right. My nerd memory works. So, yeah, the effects aren't very special. The plot is a little bit convoluted. It is ridiculous. It is fun. I do highly recommend watching it. It's got a lot of 80s pop problematic humor, but I think personally one of the plot points is that they have to go through a time vortex to get to a planet to find the princess's father. Just watch it. Don't ask.
Well, naturally.
Yes, of course, as you do. And one of the I think they had the most fun with it was going through the time vortex. They all age like a year every hour or a year every 5 minutes or something along those lines. And so as they're moving back and forth, they're all aging, getting older. They get these long ZZ Top beards, other things like that. They have fighting robots too. So I would recommend it. It's a good movie to drink with friends, either remotely or in person, and just to make fun of. Speaking of drinking with movies, I
Yeah,
also
yeah.
saw the Ten Commandments
Yeah, give us that
because
revised drinking game.
for me it is a Passover tradition or Easter tradition to watch the Ten Commandments because as a kid it was always on like Channel 7, um, and I would watch the hell out of that. Um, so my original drinking game, which was drink every time you hear them say Moses, and drink a whole drink every time someone throws a bomb ass line, um, that will put you in the hospital. Instead of saying Moses, you drink every time they say bondage, and they all say it bondage.
Yeah, say
Um,
it a lot. I thought they would.
yes.
It's like
So I was
it's not as
go
much as
ahead.
Moses, right? Moses has said more, but
Not as
like
much as Moses, but but it's still a lot. And the person that's staying with me right now, she was watching it with me, and it's like the second time they said bondage, she started giggling, and I'm like, oh yeah. And every time they said it, she would giggle, and so I'm like, she's giggling a lot. Maybe we should switch up and put bondage down as a drinking indicator. So try that out this week, kids. Let us know how it works for you. Um, Certainly less likely to get alcohol poisoning from that one. And also worth watching because Cecil B. DeMille's production is amazing. If you're presumably you're watching this because you're a movie buff, when you look at this, you realize that the majority of the sets are all real. They don't do a lot of green screen, just like the large cinematic scapes like Mount Sinai and a few other things like that. But when you think about, for example, the Exodus from Egypt, those are all real people, and that is a real set of a real city. It's just mind-boggling that the director pulled that off.
yeah, a lot of extras, and some pretty fantastic special effects also for its time period. Like,
Oh yeah, no, like I remember as a kid thinking this was great. Um, so yeah, I'm excited. I was excited to watch it. Bria, she has not seen it, and she was very excited to see it, and she actually enjoyed the hell out of it. She was expecting not to, so
I
watch
mean,
that,
I
kid.
don't, I don't,
No
I
one
don't
ever
blame her.
expects it. It's like the Spanish Inquisition.
Something I'm cautiously expecting to be good, but again, putting caution. Uh, Today we got
Speaking of being lost in the desert.
speaking of it, uh, yeah, for understatement. We got our first set photos from Dune. So this is we're gonna move into our
Yes.
main topic. So we're gonna be talking a little bit Dune, a little bit Oscar Nightmare Scenario. So set photos come out, and we get shots of Oscar Isaac, Josh Brolin, Rebecca Ferguson, Jason Momoa, Timothy Chalamet. Sorry, Timothy.
Say it
I
again.
do love you. It's the booze. It's the booze mouth. That's what it is. It's getting all slippery. And we also we'd heard that was going to be a two-parter, but we also got that confirmed. So there was no doubt that like this is going to be a part one movie with a part two coming the year afterwards. And it's still slated for its December 2020 release month. Though again, we were already talking that it might get pushed back. And oh wait, go ahead, Tom.
Oh, I'm excited about the two-parter because I'm personally a huge fan of the Sci-Fi Channel's version, um, and that is a 6-hour long miniseries. So there's no way that you can fit that in a 2.5 hour film, the way that David Lynch tried to.
Yeah, it'd be a little rough. Um,
Yep.
and I'm not gonna. I have some fond memories for David Lynch's version, but that's just like kind of going back to your sci-fi comedy nostalgia. That's just me like liking anything that I could get my hands on. Now, obviously, when I grew up, I was like, nah, this is not. This is not that
Yeah.
great.
What
Uh,
is this mess? The only redeeming thing is Patrick Stewart's skullet, and I still have somewhat of an appreciation of the the weirding way being turned into a sonic weapon as opposed to just being a fighting style. And that watching Patrick Stewart ride a sandworm screaming at people as they blow up is just kind of
I'd honestly still be cool with that in this movie, but I know
yeah.
I know it's not gonna fit. But
Um, yeah, I'm not too sure how uh, Josh Brolin will be as Gurney compared to Patrick Stewart, but looking at the pictures, man, I'm in love with the set design. Um, I do kind of miss the ornateness that is shown in the sci-fi one. Um, that's one thing that I always appreciated about an absolutely terrible film or terrible story, but great premise was Jupiter Ascending. And there's a part of me that's just like, oh man, if
yeah,
you were just so technological, you would just get extra as hell with your spaceships.
yeah, and that's
It
we
would just be
totally
like
totally
lace
see that.
brocades.
And it could be. I mean,
Um,
this is just we only got like 10 set photos, so there definitely could be stuff we haven't seen yet.
and it's I think that they're all set photos. They're all set photos on Arrakis. So there's a good possibility that Arrakis, that is that utilitarian ideal on the planet is reflected in the set design. If they cut to Giddy Prime, you might see something different.
Yeah, and I would hope so, most definitely. Uh, so
Uh,
So let's talk about. I want to talk to the director really quick. I've brought his name up a few
sure.
times, Denis Villeneuve, and he French director, or sorry, French Canadian director, responsible for Prisoners, the first Sicario. He didn't do the second Sicario. Also did Arrival, which, and again, I love the other two movies, like especially Sicario, but like Arrival is fantastic. Uh,
Yes, it is.
I really like Blade Runner 2049, although there's a middle section I would have compacted a little bit. So I don't think it's bad. I think it just gets a little long in the tooth, and I think most people have figured out what was happening by the middle point. So it just kind of peters a little bit there in the middle, and then picks back up. But like as soon as he said, and this has been about 3 or 4 years ago when he first said like Dune is my is like effectively his love child, and it's the thing he really wanted to tackle. I got scared. So like every to me every release he's done since that point to me has been like in my mind like his proving ground of like can he handle this? Okay, that was good. Okay, that next movie was good. Okay, he didn't mess that up too bad. I guess I'll trust him. So I'm wishing him good luck. I'm glad he got it to be a two-parter. Hopefully, there hasn't been a ton of studio interference. Again, it's not like he's made like these have been popular films. They've made their money back and done okay. These not been like major like kind of Avenger blockbuster style movies by any means. But I'm hoping that won't matter, and I'm hoping he's hopefully developed enough clout in Hollywood to create this the way that he wants to. I haven't heard any horror stories so far, like on production notes. I think that would have probably come out by now if that were the case. So, fingers crossed. Knocking on all the wood I can in my apartment to make sure hopefully this comes out well.
So actually, I'm one thing reading up on this. I'm a little bit concerned about is some of the terrible fanboys in this, because one, they're they're punching up Lady Jessica's role, They're turning the Bene Jesuits. No, they're not Jesuits, but
It's like that's a different story.
yes, um, they're turning their sect into more like warrior witches as opposed to like space nuns. Um, and Lady Jessica, she played a really strong role in the 2000 version of Dune, which was great. And it looks like they're diving deeper into that. Also, Liette is now a woman, and the reasoning makes sense. And why the hell not?
Yeah.
Leah Kynes. I'm cool with all of their choices, and also I'm really excited about Zendaya being Chani. Um, though I'm fearful that she's being typecast as the supporting girlfriend wife
Yeah.
role because I hope within the next year um, she gets some type of role where she's the leading lady and a badass.
I mean, I think it's gonna come soon. Like,
Yeah.
and hopefully someone in Hollywood's recognizing her worth, like, because she's definitely worth getting a leading actress role. But um, it's like I was gonna say, for one, this isn't the uh, Mary Jane's role in like the Spider-Man movies is always pretty limited. They've done a little bit more with this run, but again, it's still a pretty limited role. So I think if
Mm-hmm.
she can get away from the Marvel brand there for a little bit and do something else, that'd probably help her out a whole lot. Because I don't want to say there's like an MCU bubble that
Yep.
people get stuck in, but we may be starting to see the first victim of that, so to speak.
Yeah. Also interested. Their actor choices are are pretty interesting to me. Um, I lost it. There it is. Um, like our good friend, the Bro King, Jason Momoa is playing Duncan, which could be kind of interesting. Oscar Isaac playing Leto, which is also kind of interesting. William Hurt kind of owns that role for me right now, so it'll be a tough seat to take down. Um, yeah, still not a ton of information, but all of it looks good. Um, the still suits look like one negative thing I'll say is the still suits look like they were leftovers from the Borg from Next Generation.
Come on, man. Come on.
Yeah. Other than that, I'm pretty excited to see how this plays out.
They probably had to
But
spend all the
much
rest of
like
the money on CGI.
what?
They probably had to spend the rest of the money on CGI. You know.
Yes. Oh, and one thing I did want to talk about was Dave Bautista, I think is how
There
you
you go.
pronounce the name. Uh, I was having trouble with that earlier. He's playing Raban, which I'm kind of excited for, but I'm also a little bit nervous because Raban is supposed to be this stupid, bombastic, temper tantrum child, kind of like some leaders that we're familiar with these days. And he's most of his characters have been these stiff, serious people, being that he'll kind of lean into that whiny, like 80s bratty child archetype that Raban has often been portrayed as. And I don't know who plays Fade, the pretty one, as they call it.
The pretty one. Is that what you say?
Yeah,
Hmm.
Fade, the pretty one. It's one of my favorite lines from the TV series. Was when the young princess was plotting her way around Arrakis as well, and
Yeah.
when she was in Gidi Prime.
Have they released the
But yeah.
full? I know we've got the cast list. I don't know if they put everyone. see, I'm double checking it right now.
I am doing the same.
I don't see that name anywhere.
Actually, Fade does have a smaller part compared to like Raban.
Yeah. Oh, I will say the one casting that's got me really excited, that's had me excited for a while, is Stellan Skarsgård playing Baron Harkonnen. Oh, I think that's a fantastic choice. Oh, I think that's so good.
Yeah, I think he can chew up the scenery. For me personally, if you're going to be the Baron, you have to be the Baron.
Mm-hmm.
You have to chew up scenery. You have to overact. Because, the Baron always talks in rhymes. And you have to be a certain type of person to carry that off.
Precisely. And we were already talking about
Yep.
Tom rolled his eyes a little bit, but I guess I'm going to go back and re-review the original movie. And we didn't roll our eyes at the miniseries. Like, we both would look forward to talking that one out. But
I may come up with a drinking game for the original or the 80s version.
All right, so we're going to go right from Dune into the Oscar talk. So if you don't know why a nightmare scenario for the Oscars is even possible, so there's a lot. So one, there's obviously movies that have not been released yet, and the entire calendar's been pushed back, and it raises the question of what is a. It's not that people are only making movies to win Oscars, but there are definitely people that are making movies to win an Oscar. So they're not necessarily, neither one of those statements is necessarily wrong, or they're not mutually exclusive.
Yes.
So what that means is typically you have like an end date by the end of the year to where your movie needs to be released, have so much time to be seen, so they would count for the calendar year of 2020, and obviously Oscars are done into the next year, going into 2021. So if you released it January 1st, that's not going to count towards the Oscar season per se. And things that normally help at least the attentive voters for the Oscars. There's plenty of people in the Oscars that are not attentive and just kind of wait till the last moment to even watch some of the movies. It's very very well documented. A lot of them just watch what gets in front of their eyes. So that's why you'll tend to see a bunch of billboards or like these run-up commercials to the Oscars. So just we're trying to get anybody's attention that we can that our movie exists. So with coronavirus, that's definitely impeding that ability for the first half of the year. You'd release it first half of the year, get some buzz, get in people's minds, and then maybe do a re-release in December, or again, kind of going back to that billboard or commercial spin up before the Oscars happen again, just to get that picture of like, hey, remember this movie from earlier in the year? So we don't have any of that, and there's not really any movies I'd say that are in that Oscar territory right now. So this lends itself to some problems in the end of the year, because we already talked about how packed the schedule is. So now all your blockbusters that are maybe not going to be Oscar worthy, but they're definitely going to be taking attention away from that usual late end of the year Oscar push and Oscar movies. And in the history of the Oscars, although we've had hostless Oscars just as recently as last year and going into this next year, and it's actually not the first time we've had a hostless Oscars. You can go back to the 70s. Let me pull it back up. Yeah, 69 to 71, there was no host, and there's years before that where it wasn't broadcast, even when we had television available. So either one of those options have happened, but we've never had no Oscars, period. The idea that we would just cancel it so that the movies have a better shot of competing is also problematic. So if you want to have like the 2020 movies compete against the rest of the 2021 movies, that's also a bit of an issue. On top of, we can't just keep pushing the schedule back either. Like if we keep doing that,
Yep.
the problem is never going to be rectified. So that's kind of what the stage is for the Oscars right now. There's a bunch of movies that are going to get glammed up at the end of the year, and how do we make sure people can fairly see those and actually gauge? Which, if you want my personal opinion, I don't think the Oscars actually cares. So when people are talking about will the Oscars be canceled, it's like I I doubt it. Um, but that leads to some interesting scenarios.
Hmm.
So real quick before I jump into those, Tom, any thoughts on that setup or background? Or,
Well, as you said, there's the Oscars were hostless last year, so I've so my mind right now, because of a mental condition that everyone has called permanence, I'm having a hard time imagining the world outside of the quarantine world. So I have this vision of Dame Dench presenting an Oscar in her pajamas on the couch, and it's just basically everybody doing it from home or in some type of isolation. Um, so kind of being hostless. Actually, I don't know if they can do hostless with that, because you're going to need somebody to kind of anchor that if they were to choose to do that. The other interesting thing that I was thinking about as you were talking about how it's going to be a tight schedule with releases is usually, especially in the digital age now, they send a DVD or Blu-ray to people, to the Oscar judges of movies, and like even if it's released that month, like in the month of November, people will get their DVD. Um, and I just happen to remember a rash of piracy coming from those. So I have a feeling that there's a possibility that the Oscars might be the cause of a lot of piracy for movies that are out in the theaters at that moment, which could be kind of interesting as well.
yeah, it could definitely be a problem there toward the end of the year. Um, my other things again with the calendar bunching up. I don't have faith that they're going to be able to watch that many movies if they're all like the benefit of it being spread out across the calendar with the occasional Oscar push movies that happen at the end of the year is that yeah I mean again they should watch all of them, but that just doesn't happen.
Hmm.
So they tend to have an idea of what they're going to watch. Now, if that list it balloons because it's way too many at the end of the year, that's kind of where I'm seeing that issue as far as numbers
Yep.
and time to watch. And then you add on they're probably going to try to make it more convenient and get them to screeners, and then you run into like are those going to stay in the right hands, or those going to end up somewhere else, and like cascading.
I think a lot of times, and the cynic in me imagines that the people who are the Oscar judges are usually like, oh yeah, I know that person. They do good work. I'll vote for them. Versus actually watching the movie and genuinely critiquing it. Um, so we'll see. I can guarantee one prediction. Uh, Leonardo's not going to win another one this year.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
not disagreeing with you there. Has it got anything else coming out this year?
I don't think he does. That's
I don't,
partly why
oh,
I
okay.
joke.
You coulda said it's fine. It's fine. So I have a fun article coming out where I'm kind of joking about like Sonic the Hedgehog winning Best Picture. Um,
Oh,
so
please.
I don't actually see anything like that happening. It's fun to think about of seeing like or some of the terrible movies that we have like um, is is Trolls 2 or is Trolls not Trolls 2. That's a it's a different movie. Is Trolls World Tour gonna like win best score, best soundtrack, best visual
Yeah.
design? Oh no,
Well, Trolls.
I was gonna say Sonic would probably win that.
There's a possibility because yeah, Timberlake is in that, and Anna Kendrick. So you got two solid singers.
Yeah. Then I got that whatever that freaking troll song he made from the last one. It's back in this one, and I think this one is specifically about music the entire time. I don't remember what the plot to the other one was, and you know what? We'll be all right. I think it'll be fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, I kind of want Trolls to win best dramatic screenplay, but
Yeah.
we'll see.
So
James Marsden as best actor.
I mean, it's got to help him out for all those poor. I don't want to say poor career decisions, but all those like
Poor
getting dust
character decisions.
or character decisions, like getting dusted
Yeah,
in X3. Um,
Yep.
Picking like to be fair, he probably thought Superman was going to last longer, so because remember he left for Superman Returns, and then his role got killed
Yeah.
off in X3, and then I don't think he got X'd from Westworld on purpose. I think that's more or on purpose for this narrative, not because he was going off to do Sonic. Because I mean, I don't think those. I'm not going to give up
Can you
Westworld for.
imagine the crying game scene that he probably would have if he's like, "No, this Sonic thing's got legs. It's gonna. I've got 3 movies out of this.
I mean, it could be like a.
Screw you, Westworld."
It could be like a Tyrese in like Transformers, you know, like get that money, Tyrese.
Oh, yeah.
Like totally, totally understand. Or the Fast and the Furious movies. It's like he just shows up, drives a car, or shows up and tries to act like a badass in Transformers movies, and it's getting paid. It's like, all right,
Yeah,
no hate on your game.
it's uh, James Marsden is not hurting financially. I bet. I bet.
Yeah, I think he's doing all right. I think he's good.
Yeah, he's no Ian Ziering yet, but hey, Ian's been swimming in it ever since Sharknado. So
Okay, so I do want to talk about. Oh yeah, so we're going to talk scenarios. So there's the cancellation scenario. I don't see that happening. I think regardless of what happens with Corona, we'll probably be in a place where we'll be able to like enough movies will be able to come out either digitally or in the theaters. I'm gonna get to that wrinkle in a second. It's like a scenario A sub or A minor A or like 1B 1A kind of thing. So like the I don't see it getting canceled. So like I would say like best case scenario is the schedule relatively stays the way that it is, barring no major summer issues with the virus. You get enough movies to come out at the end of the year that some of them are able to be watched. You still have a show, but maybe it's tampered down. And maybe it might even I'd be interested to see what categories actually get presented this year. Like still award all the categories, I would assume, but maybe they'll tamper down what gets presented, because that happens all the time. It's like the amount of ones that you see are never the full scope of the Oscar awards that are possible. The wrinkle on that is, what about some of these movies toward this middle phase that are coming out digital only? Because we know how Hollywood feels about Netflix and the streaming service movies. I know
Yeah.
I know Netflix loved it when Roma took home some Oscar gold. It was like they were like, yes, finally. So that's been a point of contention for a very long time, and I only think this is only going to exasperate it. So again, if there's like a middle case scenario where this like movies start pushing it, even the ones that we got release dates for like in August and September, if they have to completely come off the schedule or like start pushing back toward the end of the year, and that causes some ripple effects for November, December. And let's say some studios are just like, we can't mess up our 2021 calendar. Like we have to make money in 2021, so we're going to release this on digital. Like, what is that going to do to the Oscars? Well, it's not just the Oscars. You could ask like, what is that going to do to Hollywood in general? Like, how are people going to react to those kind of major changes? So that'd be like the 1B version of that. Of like the movies still get released, but then Hollywood feels has its hand tied. Like all that kowtowing and like hate you're throwing on streaming services, kind of got to back it. You kind of got to back up a little bit now, because it's the thing that kind of saved your ass this year is that those platforms even exist and are fleshed out. You know.
Yeah, it's I'm sorry, my mind was still kind of stuck on the Netflix situation that you mentioned, because I went down a mental rabbit hole about The Irishman, because Scorsese, I think, kind of gave Netflix a little more legitimacy, but they also did multicast in theaters as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
And again, Netflix was doing that so they can have a shot
yes.
at the Oscars, which is why I'm partly wondering like these things that never got a theatrical release, like are they gonna ease up those rules a little bit?
Eventually they are. I mean, they are. The Oscars has always been slow. Like Tron did not win. Tron, I think, was disqualified from Best Special Effects because they use computers. So,
Like I have to go back and look, but yeah, yeah,
like nowadays there isn't one special effects winner that doesn't use a computer. Um, but my thought is it's going to be slow, or it's going to be smaller. It's going to be possibly a worst case scenario. It's going to be like a 1 hour show. That's actually also for us the best case scenario, that we're not having this 3 hour long epic, um, where there's a lot of self congratulations, um, and that actually might put me into a little bit of a rant here, and you can stop me at any time. Um,
yeah. Go ahead and do it.
because
Do it.
I so one thing that this pandemic is proving to be interesting is, um, I see a lot of people posting like, we don't care about actors, and and we know that grocery store workers and truckers are important. And I'm like, that's good. That's a good sentiment. But usually when I see people post that, the question I'll write on their wall is, "Hey, so what movies on Netflix are you binge watching or other things like that?" Um, and I think that this whole thing is going to show us the value of entertainment, um, because it's the one thing that's keeping people sane. But I also think it's going to humble the whole entertainment process and the self-congratulatoriness. I think the Oscars is going to be smaller, more reasonable, um, less opulent this year, and rightfully so. And I hope that's a continuing trend of, um, actors focusing on doing what they're supposed to be doing, which is entertaining and bringing in great, and writers bringing in great content as opposed to just winning the Oscars.
Yeah. Um, I think
I will step down.
no, 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 no. That's fine. I guess my I think or questions I want to ask or thoughts with that is now you're not talking about as far as like any activism that actors are doing uh, outside of the Oscars or outside of like
No,
other.
I what I'm talking about is the self-importance of the Oscars.
Okay, yeah.
Um,
Then totally agree on that.
I mean, the activism bleeds into the Oscars often, and sometimes it's great, sometimes it's eye-rolling and inducing. But in general, I kind of want the past month or the past Jeremy Bearimy that we've experienced here is has just reinforced the importance of entertainment in my life. It has kept me sane. Um, from watching Ice Pirates to to
Freaking ice
great TV
pirates.
show. You're gonna watch it, and you're gonna see
I know I'm
some.
gonna watch it, but also I'm mad. I can be mad about the thing that I'm going to watch. So you just let me be mad.
Yes. I'll let you be mad, but then I look forward to your saying,
Yeah.
"Yeah, that was actually not bad."
We'll see. At least it's not 2 hours of my life. I saw it was like less than 2 hours. It's like 90 minutes.
Oh yeah, it is such a simple story. Um, but you have this. I think we're going to have a renewed sense of value. It's also like trickling down to, to local friends, our dance instructor friends, other people who are other types of performers, like belly dancers and other things like that, musicians. I've been throwing a lot of money their way, and knowing the value, and also missing terribly going out. Like my fantasies used to be all kinds of crazy stuff, having my own spaceship, other things like that. Now it's like going to a restaurant that has some live music with good friends. Um, so yeah, that's uh, that's my other rant. I'm just full of rants today,
No, it's totally
filling
fine.
up that time.
Totally fine. Real quick, back on your Tron comment. Yes,
Yeah,
the year it was released. It did not. It did get nominated for other Oscars, but not for special effects because, as you said, the Academy thought they were cheating by using computers. Yeah, so
yes.
they got nominations in best costume design and best sounds, but yeah, weren't even allowed to be put into the special effects award, which seems odd given the title was special effects, but I'll let it go. Everyone got to hear my high voice. It's fine. Yeah, we don't want to keep hearing that on the mic. Da da da. Um, so real quick, the finances for the top tier actors and companies and producers, like there's a thing that's stuck out of my mind when Disney says they're having issues paying staff and different, like you think about, yeah, RDJ and some of the top Avengers make a ridiculous amount of money, but you think about your side character, like not actually, let me back up. Not even side characters. I'm talking about just your extras and things in those movies, the little smaller parts that help keep the glue of those together. So it's not just like people walking around a desolate street aren't getting paid barely anything, and down on top of like the CGI department, that's basically the bread and butter for you looking any kind of sort of decent in that film, or for Iron Man's suit to look good. Uh, barely getting paid crap. And Avengers, like we talked about this last week, Avengers made almost $3 billion. Like,
Hmm.
where did it all go? Like, what are you? I'm sorry, and that's just one movie. That's
It went to
just.
the House of the Mouse.
Oh, sorry. Um, so now you're saying you don't have like that's. It's like if there was one thing I would like to say was hypocritical, if they're like if actors get the well-paid actors got on stage at the Oscars this year and started touting about I'm glad we were able to come together. It's like I hope you came together and you paid for people's paychecks while they couldn't work on production and things like that. Like if there's a way that
Hmm.
you could like don't just say like oh I'm gonna help you out with some of your groceries. Like no, did they get salary while they were stuck there and couldn't work? Or you think about some of the CGI departments like you just the amount of processing you need to do that. People get to do that on like work servers that are there. It's not always easy to just tap into that from your home. Uh, so it's not as easy to just like, hey, go work out on your house. It's like it may not be that simple. So a lot of them just been twiddling their thumbs right now. It's like have they been taken care of? So uh, if there was like a Ricky Gervais
Yep.
moment, I might have because it was the Golden Globes. I think he was when he went on his monologue, which is really great. But if there's one I would point, if there's one thing like in that kind of idea or like criticism or Hollywood hypocrisy, that'd probably be where I'd push back or agree with him the most. And be like, this is a prime opportunity for you to put your money where your mouth is, and if you didn't do it and you get on that stage claiming unity, like I want to rip you to shreds. To be completely honest,
Yeah.
especially after these $1 billion movies. Like no, I don't like. I really don't want to hear it.
It's at the risk of sounding a bit Bernie Sanderish. I have a feeling that it's going to be uh, that case. Um, the studios, that $3 billion that made two people, $500 million or something along those lines, or maybe 10 people, $100 million. Um, and I don't think Robert Downey Jr. is actually one of those people because his contract,
Yeah,
he got a
yeah.
cut off the top.
He's got
So yeah,
he's got the thick well yeah it's not even, he's got the thickest Avenger contract, or did have the thickest
yes,
Avenger contract of any of them, and it's had it that way for a long time. And I think it's
yeah,
I have to double check because I do believe he did advocate for the raises for the rest of
he
the
did.
yeah. So he advocated for raises for the rest
He
of the
did.
stars on that. So it's not like they were getting paid chump change by any means, but he's definitely the highest paid by a large margin.
Well, I think there might be an asterisk to that because I think that like in the Avengers movies, they're all within a couple of like 10 or 20% of each other, but the difference is that RDJ's contract has a percentage of the production, I think. So, or percentage of the sales. So everybody got close to the same flat rate, but he got that profit sharing.
Hold on, sweet percentage.
Yes. Nothing like dividends.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want from this conversation to hear about actors supporting their people and studios supporting them. Less so the actors. I mean, that asking the actors to do that while they are millionaires is like somebody posted that. Oh shoot, which basketball team? Or yeah, it's basketball team was paying for the salaries of.
Yeah, I think the Dallas Mavericks, because Mark Cuban started that, and I think a lot of other players have chipped in to do that. And if I understand where you're going, I should be clear. Like my first, because I will shit on Disney all day long. It's like I'm aiming at them first. I started saying actors. Sorry. So actually, but my tier of that first would be, I want the corporations or the studios running it to do that first.
Yes.
But for me, particularly, if actors had the opportunity to do it, and we were talking about like potential hypocrisy jumping on the Oscar stage, that's where I would kind of be like, what did you do? Or even if it's not them paying out of their own pocket, it's like, did you advocate for that studio that you were working with on that production to take care of the folks that are helping that movie come to fruition? That's going to pay you X amount, like because they do have if you're gonna act, you can be an activist for these other things. This is one in your own backyard that you should not be blind to. But yeah, as far as paying stuff out, House of Mouse, hundreds of billions of dollars. No. Where did it all go? Where were the jokes?
Which reminds me, I should ask a friend of mine. He's one of the Dapper Dans in Disney World. A guy I went to high school with, and I should ask him how the mouse is treating him, because he actually just put out a video with all the other Dapper Dans. So I'm wondering if Disney produced and paid them for that.
Those are the loose scenarios for the Oscars. Again, I don't think it's going to be canceled. Best case is that the schedule stays the same. A lot don't get released on streaming. We said like the 1A version the 1B version of that would be more get released online, and then Hollywood's got a hard decision about like what counts for things that only got released online, and then like just the factors of like who's going to watch what and actually do a good job and vote with what they've been able to see. Because if there's any slice of laziness this time around, like this is not the year for that. This really be a bad year for them to do that. And then again, we talked about the 2021 schedule. Really don't think that's going to get affected anymore, because if you keep toying with that, like this ripple's never gonna stop.
Yep.
So we're gonna go into our what to watch this weekend. Start winding down, and I don't actually have. Tom will go in a second, but I don't actually have. I'm gonna give you some things I think you should avoid. So I have not been able to watch. Sorry, I've been able to watch one of these. One I was interested in because of how ridiculous the trailer was. So this is not me recommending them to you. If you end up watching them and you're like, I actually enjoyed that, I definitely would love for you to tell me that in the comments, and let's have a conversation about it. But these are my ones to probably avoid. One has a caveat: unless you have small children. We'll get to that one in a second. The first one is Underwater, of Kristen Stewart. They're fighting some kind of force under some kind of creature underwater, and some underwater submerged station gets attacked, and they're in suits and stuff underwater. Like trailer looked absolutely ridiculous. And my counter would be, I'd almost rather watch The Meg with Jason Statham than I would with this movie. And hey, knock on that movie all you want, but it knew what it was. It didn't make any claims trying to be anything else. It was like, this isn't Jaws. We know this movie's ridiculous. And when I went into it with that expectation, I loved it. So that would be my counter
Kind of like
recommendation.
Sharknado.
Oh God. Yeah, it's in that. I like Meg more than Sharknado though. At least the visuals were. I don't know. Like Sharknado's in
Yes,
that mega shark versus giant octopus kind of territory for me. It's like in that.
there are two, there are two reasons why I love Sharknado and the Sharknado series. One, because they made six fucking films about this,
I
but
just imagine that didn't happen.
um, the Inception story is so fascinating to me because the movie was built off of a throwaway line from the Leprechaun, and two people are talking about, or two cops are talking about how bad things are going with this leprechaun in their town. He's like, "Oh yeah, in that other town they got that Sharknado going on." And some executive saw that, laughed, and said, "We need to make a Sharknado movie." And followed up by Ian Ziering got involved because he needed to update his SAG card. He didn't have
why?
enough credits that
Why am I
year
not surprised?
to get a SAG or to maintain his SAG status. So he did the movie and then did five more.
It's like
So,
it's like I knew about the leprechaun piece, but I didn't know that. That's that last
yep.
bit. It's hilarious.
He was, interestingly enough, he was working at a Chippendales.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do what you got to do.
So,
And I'm not hating on
hey,
Chippendales. Hey,
no, but the fact that Ian's 50 and he's working at a Chippendales, not too bad, buddy. Not too bad.
yeah,
Um,
you got this.
he he was one of my favorite characters in 90210. So anything that gets that guy work, I'm okay with.
Let's see. Uh, I'm totally
What else
distracted
to
now.
avoid?
What else to avoid? So another one I haven't been able to see yet. Blake Lively, the rhythm section. Saw some rather upset reviews actually on this one. She's playing an agent getting revenge. So I actually might check this one out this weekend to kind of give you my thoughts on it. I didn't get to with all the craziness going on at the beginning of the year and everything winding down or getting closed down. I didn't have a chance to like jump in there and actually see about it. Let's see. Doolittle came out earlier in the year, had a theatrical release, but just now getting onto digital. It's another one I would shy away from because, gosh, we already talked about it earlier. This was not a great one for RDJ to jump back into. And the one I said with the caveat of the kids, it's probably not going to be up most people's alley, but the reviews for Trolls World Tour is actually not bad. So it's like it's around a C. It's like 70% critic review and then 60% audience love. So it's like, okay, your kids will probably like it. It's gonna have enough musical cues. I've been seeing the commercials all week as I've been doing this Battlestar rewatch. They keep flooding it inside the Sci-Fi app. So I'm like, ugh. I might just bust my Blu-rays out just so I don't have to watch it anymore. Because if I have to hear Justin Timberlake's little intro to "Can't Stop the" "Can't Stop the Feeling," "Stop the" what? I don't know what the title is. I don't know. If I have to listen to it one more time, I don't want to know. So if you got small children, they're probably gonna love it. And if you want to be annoyed by your small children while you're in quarantine, maybe, if you don't want to be annoyed by your children, maybe don't watch that. Make them think Frozen doesn't exist. Go check out Onward. Yeah. Dude, how about you do that instead on Disney
Onward
Plus?
is not bad.
Yeah.
Trash-eating unicorns and such.
Shh, it's fine. It's fine. Cool. Tom, did you have any things to watch this weekend?
Yes. So I'm going to continue on my weird throwback phase. I'm going to try and fit in Demolition Man this weekend. I'm also looking at Battle Beyond the Stars, which is another 80s film from that vein, from that same vein of Ice Pirates.
I'm kind of disappointed you didn't say Zardoz, but okay. It's all right.
I'm not quite there yet.
But it's on the list, isn't it?
Not yet, but you could convince me. Um, I saw Buckaroo Banzai about 2 years ago, so I'm good for another 5 years before I need another inoculation. Um, and the other one, I'm debating on one of the new releases. I'm thinking about Bloodshot. That's out. Guns Akimbo, I'm kind of interested in.
I'm sorry. What now?
With Guns Akimbo,
Guns
it
akimbo.
has Harry Potter. Shoot, his name.
Daniel Radcliffe.
Uh, thank you, Daniel Radcliffe. And from what I understand, he has guns nailed to his hands. So
But why?
I don't know.
How does he
I'm not sure. I haven't heard a
like
lot other than
in his
Daniel
hand to
Radcliffe.
where like the only position he's
Yeah,
like is like
all he can do is like,
Christian Bale like equilibrium gun fu kind of.
yep. Um, so I saw the picture of Daniel Radcliffe with two guns and the name Guns Akimbo, and I'm like, all right, you've got me interested. I'll
you,
pay the $4 for a rental on
you
this.
thought it was right up your alley. All right.
Yes. Like I have a feeling and I have a hope that this is going to be the similar vein as Hobo with a Shotgun or Nude Nuns with Big Guns or other
Wait,
like
nuns
B
with big
movie
guns. I've
Nude
never heard of
Nuns
that one.
with Big Guns.
Hope with a shotgun. I
There's
watched that. It was a
yeah.
experience, but nuns with a gun.
There is a special place in my heart for like B movies, modern B movies, especially if it stars freaking Daniel Radcliffe.
Cool. Oh, sorry. There was one I was going to be interested in watching. I know the Ip Man series has gotten a little off the rails, but Ip Man 4 is finally out, so I actually would be curious
Yes,
to checking it out and see what's going on. So,
I've already seen it. I'll be curious to see your thoughts.
all right. So yeah, I might add it to the.
Um,
Yeah, I got some time this weekend, so I might add it to the list. Cool.
One other thing worth mentioning is try and catch SNL. I watched last weekend. So SNL is being done 100% from home, and it's interesting. Some of it kind of devolves into you know basically like TikTok videos and stuff like that. But um, last week they did a great one of Zoom meetings at work, and you know uh, I had somebody 2 weeks ago literally go to the bathroom while on a Zoom meeting, and they touched on that and a few other things. And also they had teenage middle-aged Ninja Turtles, which was a great video. So it's worthwhile if you're into comedy. See them stretch and work around these containers or these barriers that they have.
Yeah, yeah,
So I think it's going to be an interesting experiment for them.
yeah. I saw. So I hadn't seen the whole thing, but I saw Tom Hanks' monologue toward
Yes.
the end. He was like, "Yeah, you know how it is. Like, it's gonna be a good show. We'll have a couple of skits that are like really good, and then yeah, you know how it is." And it's
Yes.
like he's poking at the fact that like most of the time, like you could have won a couple of really good ones, and then sometimes the rest of the show is just kind of like, it happened. It existed.
Yep.
But yeah, that kind of like stripping back down to bare bones, like, can you carry this performance? I think is very interesting. It's like some like back to the like
Yes.
comic basics, like you're not gonna really have a ton of costume options that you can do. Um, so like is your joke structure like we can actually strip it all the way back down to that. Is your joke structure and your ability as a comedian like how well those going to mesh together before any other setup or any other additions can be brought in here. You know.
Yeah, there were a lot more so last week there were a lot more comedy songs. I expect to see more of that. Um, there were, I think, more animation. I expect to see more of that next week or the Saturday. Um, and I'm hoping to see more character work. Man, names are escaping me today. Um, it's not Kristen Wiig. Who is the gem of SNL right now? She did a killer RBJ imitation for RBJ's home workout. So,
RBG.
um,
Oh, RBG.
Ruth Bader,
Oh, Kate McKinnon.
RBG.
I was like, RBJ. I feel like I want Arby's
Well,
and Robert
if
Downey
it's
Jr.
in the
in my house
acronym,
at
you
the same
pronounce it
time.
like GIF instead of GIF.
The never-ending battle. Dun, dun, dun.
Yes.
The never-ending.
Speaking of, I have to go upgrade my graphics card.
Graphics integrated format. Folks, that's all we've got for you today. Might throw some extra recommendations on, and look out for that article where we're gonna have some fun with the Oscar scenarios. We try to keep it serious, well, relatively serious here, but I'll hand out some fake awards to the current movies that are out just for shits and giggles. Let's see, things to be watching out on the website. If you've been following our Battlestar Galactica rewatch, we're in the week of April 13th. So 3 awesome episodes, Bastille Day with the special guest star Richard Hatch. So those Richard Hatch Apollo episodes Tom Zarek episodes are some of my favorite of the Battlestar series. And then we get a Starbuck character two-parter with Act of Contrition and you can't go back home again. So this is a really nice section of episodes in season 1. And if you haven't joined us, go try to catch up this weekend. We gonna have chats every Monday night, like Ask Me Anything. We had a good turnout this previous week, so definitely would love more people to join us in that. And even if you don't have questions, you can just follow along with the discussion on Discord and our Google Hangouts that we do every Monday. So, and if you don't want to show your face, it's okay. But definitely love for people to join in on that. We ask some trivia questions, just kind of like. It's fun for people that have never seen it before because we have people trying to make predictions, and I've never had to bite my tongue harder than in these AMAs. So I'm having a lot of fun, but there's also some struggle bus going on where I'm just like, oh, I want to spill all the beans. So that'll be my fight every single week. Cool. Tom, it's good to see you.
Yeah. Good to see you, sir.
Yeah, another
Commander.
good week. All right, and we'll see y'all later.